Good evening. The time is now 6:03, and I call the regular meeting of the St. Charles Parish Housing Authority to order. Will you please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, the first agenda item this evening is review and approval of the minutes from the January meeting. Any board discussion? Mr. Brouillet?
I motion to approve the minutes from the meeting, the last meeting.
All right, Mr. Brouillet moves to approve the minutes from the last meeting. Do we have a second?
A second.
We have a second. All in favor? Aye. That carries. All right, we have the Executive Director's report.
Mr. Chairman, point of order. You were approving the minutes. What about review and approval of the agenda? And why I'm asking that, because I was going to ask or make a motion that we include an executive session on our agenda tonight.
Okay. Typically, approval of agendas, we haven't done that in the past, but we can certainly have we can certainly move to include executive session on our agenda for this evening. Okay. We just need to state the reason why.
Mr. Chair, I make a motion that we add an executive session to our agenda tonight just to discuss personnel matters.
All right. Commissioner Woods has moved to add executive session to our meeting agenda for this evening to discuss personnel matters. Do we have a second?
A second.
Mr. Brouillet seconds, and cast your votes. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. That carries. All right. Ms. Prevost.
I want to start off by saying our 2023 five-year plan has been approved. Starting off by saying our 2023 five-year plan has been approved. Now we only have to do 2024, and we're up on everything. Well, 2024 is not late. I'll start off with VMS. Portable vouchers, 4 port-out vouchers. All other vouchers, 235. Total vouchers, 239. All other vouchers, HAP expense after the first of the month was $3,218. Total vouchers, HAP amount was $28,695. Portable vouchers, port-ins administered was 5 vouchers for $4,932. Fraud recovery was $25. Administrative expenses, $10,000. ACV unrestricted net position, UNP, as of the last day of the month, $284,770. ACV restricted net position funds, RNP as the last day of the month, negative $75,273. ACV cash investment as of the last day of the month, $221,740. For public housing management report, the rent collected was $12,011 for the month of January. We have on the wait list 1,676 applicants pulled, 15 applicants approved, 6. We have 66 units in Boutique 51, Hornville 12, and Des Alma for a total of 129 units vacant under the SVC plan 51, Des Alma 12. ACV report, 243 vouchers. Housing assistance payment, $232,158. Lease up rate, 60%. Annual recertifications for January was 42. Interim was 15. Late research, 0. HQ inspections, we did 42. Late annual inspection, 0. Port outs, 1. Port in, 2. Wait list, 1,103. Pulled from the waiting list, 10. Searching, we have 5. New admission, we have 3. End of participation, we have 3. We had a little problem out there today with trees that's behind us, tearing down the fence, falling, and knocked power out, which was out for about 5-6 hours today. Yeah. So we just got to get with the parish again to see if they can do something with them trees behind us. And we completed the soffit, facial, and siding, did pressure washing. Things begin to look a little better. Gonna be getting ready a RFP for do the inside. We have Richard here to talk about the conversion once y'all through with your questions.
How many have we had new landlords to participate in the program?
We get new landlords every month.
Every month, and they're doing what they need to do to get on the program?
Yes.
Mr. Woods?
Well, I'm hearing what you just caught my ear. I'm sorry, I was answering something earlier, but you said we're getting new landlords.
He asked about landlords. We get new landlords every month.
So then we're taking some people off our wait list on a
Yeah, we pulled 10 a month.
then?
We pulled 10 a month. Out of the 10, we might have anywhere between 5 to 8 people that will respond, and they finding somewhere to live.
Oh, I didn't.
Plus, we have port-ins that's coming in. They finding housing.
Okay.
And the low rent units, all the ones that are available to be inhabit, they're
We just got a clearance today from planning and zoning. All of them are go, so we hope to have all of them filled by April.
by April. How many do we have?
About 12, because we had some where people have moved out.
Okay. And the ones that we had the contractor doing work to, out of the 14, I remember like a while back, all that's done, they're good.
We just got approval through planning and
approval
zoning
to get them in there.
to go ahead today.
All right.
All right, any additional questions regarding administrative reports?
Yes, since you put it like that, I can ask my question now.
You want to turn on your mic?
Administrative reports. Let's kind of
I was gonna go ask some things about financials. I don't even see financials on our agenda tonight. So I was gonna ask you, like, what's the status update with our fee account? And I see we do have a May of 23 report in here. But where is the gathering and the currency on our financial reports?
We just about gonna be wrapping up, I say, by next month. But as far as the new fee account, that is on hold because y'all asked last month to put it on hold.
I got you on that. So going back to the other folks, you're saying that in about another 30 days, they're going to be out?
Say 3 days, I say next month.
No, it's another 30 days is what I said.
Yes.
So
They
you're
should
saying
be-
HSA is going to be caught up in 30 days. So we're going to go from May 23 to,
Well, all we asking them to catch up is September. That's why we got the new fee account, and we want to start them off with the new fiscal year.
They're gonna close out the previous fiscal year up to September.
HSA is going through September, and new fee person will pick up October
Correct.
to current. Okay.
And based on a previous conversation where I was asked to reach out to legal counsel to discuss potential overpayments for HSA, is that right? It was advised that we first start with just a letter from the Housing Authority stating y'all completed work to this point. This is where we see our balance at before we engage legal counsel. If we don't get a response that's equitable to the board and to the Housing Authority, then we will follow up again with the legal counsel to proceed from a legal standpoint.
So have we done that letter from us?
No, this is the update I'm giving
Oh,
to
okay,
the board
all
this
right,
evening.
all right, okay.
And, if they complete through the fiscal year, then anything that was paid.
Because I want to think, am I correct? Am I correct, Ms. Prevost, that we have paid HSA through probably December, January of this year?
I think it was probably, I think I stopped paying them in November.
Okay.
Now,
So November was the last month, so those 2 months starting the fiscal year is what we're trying to get back.
correct.
Because
I mean, that's
they're only
still-
completing reports up to the end of last fiscal year.
Now we are paying for the VMS, and I've just paid for 1099s because they did do that.
And is all of that going to our new fee account whenever we?
Yes.
Okay, I just want to put it out there, me and financials, and I didn't see any discussion at all in our agenda. So.
HSA is cooperating, is gonna give us it's gonna give the new fee account what they need, or
I have to talk to him. I didn't want to say anything to them until y'all approve
so
what
we
y'all
approve
had
the
to
new
approve.
one, that's correct, okay.
Any additional board discussion? All right, Mr. Murray.
Well, hello, how are you all?
Good, sir. How you doing?
Good evening to you, and thank you all for having us. We hadn't been here in a while. I was looking through my GPS on how to get here, and it was back in 21 the last time I think I came, because I looked through my GPS and I said, there it is right there, there's Huntsville.
If you wouldn't mind just stating your name and who you're with, just for the
Right.
record.
Here again, it's good evening, and thank y'all for having us. I'm Richard Murray. I'm a representative of Standard Enterprises out of Monroe, Louisiana. Back in 2019, I believe, Standard Enterprises was selected as your developer partner. The ED at that time had solicited an RFP, and you chose us to help you to implement the streamlined voluntary conversion program for the agency. And I've taken that out the realms of my, I always said, I want you to do this, Richard. You know housing. I spent 33 years as running housing authorities in my previous life. And what HUD is allowing this agency here to do is to convert its public housing program over to the voucher program. If you know that over the years, public housing has been poorly funded. Some years you may get 83% on the dollar. Some years you may get 90%. Some years it was horrible. I mean, we actually thought about is laying off some people one time, and some other agencies had to lay off because they could not afford them anymore. But what HUD has decided, especially for smaller housing authorities, that's 250 units and less, they would allow them to convert under the streamline process, which means that a whole lot of other stuff that they had to do under just the regular program, they don't have to do. And that's what we are helping you to do, is to convert your public housing units from public housing over to the voucher program. The voucher program is usually 100% funded every year. It may be off 3% here, 3% there, but usually it's about 100% funded every year. So with this conversion, you have to submit a plan to HUD. And we did this on numerous occasions, and they came back and they always needed something else and something else. And also we had Ida to hit, and that shut the HUD office down a little while, and they all worked remotely, and it was hard for us to get anything over to them because their computers would not handle heavy documents. So we've had to deal with all kinds of issues with that. But we got it to them. They reviewed it. They sent it to the New Mexico field office. They reviewed it, and they finally approved the plan. All right, Richard, now you can submit this plan up to the Special Applications Center office in Chicago, which is part of HUD, that would allow us to then to take the units from under public housing and put them under Section 8. The tenants have a right to stay either at their property, or they could take that voucher and move anywhere they want to in the U.S. And actually, we have already met with all the residents, and they all want to return at that time, I think, except for 3. So we'll work through all of that. But the Special Application Center has our application, and it's moving. And actually, we were moving swiftly on this, but then we had a little pause on it. We went to HUD and said, HUD, all the units that we have for public housing that are vacant are showing up as vacant, which means that you don't receive money on them. Mm-hmm. So what we did, Ms. Provost and I, we decided that it's probably in our best interest to petition them to put them under modernization, which you will receive your subsidy. So she's in the process of finalizing that. I think she told me this week she was going to have it all up to them. Already sent it to them. So she has ended up to, so hopefully they'll act on that, because that's holding us up now. So
how many units are they considering to still be, or that's not on mod?
We're putting 70 on mod.
We're putting 70, so out of 129, there's whatever 129 minus 70 is, that is what they were saying that we qualified for.
Under the modernization.
Under the modernization. That's a big hit without that 70.
Oh, that's a nice hit. It's a horrible nice hit, but it's
yeah. So if, I'm sorry. But that's good, putting it on mod, that's gonna definitely solve that issue, like, we're gonna get those,
It would get the subsidy on the units up until the full conversion is done, because right now, I think you all were losing some subsidies, if I'm not mistaken.
Right.
So
So
we
just,
could move on her behalf.
just to be
do it.
clear, we are applying and asking them to allow us to put it in mod. That hasn't happened as of this point. Okay, so I mean, we're just asking them. They haven't responded back and said yes yet. I guess is what I'm saying.
But y'all talk to them though, and in the likelihood of that happening is, okay,
Okay, all right. Just want to be clear.
Actually, they told her exactly
what she needs to do.
what she needed to do,
To
so
get it,
that's what we
okay.
did.
Yeah, HUD instructed, there's an email chain, back and forth. HUD instructed exactly what to do. It has been submitted, it just has to go through the process. But in all likelihood, it will actually be approved. This was instruction from HUD on how to accomplish this, so.
And if I were you, I would ask them to actually to make it retroactive back as far as you can.
Yeah,
And that way you get all
the
your
money
subsidy back.
that we missed out on,
Uh-huh.
okay.
And I think we did ask for a retroactive date, didn't we?
I think they'll
I know,
decide.
there was a mention of it couldn't go beyond a certain date.
Okay.
But I don't know what we actually, I'll,
Yeah, I mean, that'd be great. Definitely find out. Let's get as much back as we can. I mean, technically, it should have been in mod. You know,
Yeah.
right.
Actually, it was in there, and I think that after Hurricane Ida, that you have so many months that you could receive it under the modernization, but then HUD automatically, they take it from under that, but we're asking them to put it back.
Back.
Because of this conversion. That way you'll get your subsidy. Then way HUD has the application up there, as soon as they can approve, they would give you all a letter indicating that, you know, the conversion plan is approved, and you all need to now to apply for the vouchers. And you'll get so many is vouchers out of this conversion. Once you get your vouchers, then that's when you convert from under public housing over to the voucher program. Your families who live here today, they would actually start to receiving voucher assistance. And they could take it in and move, or they could stay where they are. They make that
And
stay a choice.
does that include the families that are in low rent?
That's what it is, yes.
So the families that are in low rent will have an opportunity to take the opportunity to receive a voucher. Okay, so the families on low rent will receive that voucher, and they can decide to either stay in their current unit, or they can take that voucher and, you know, pour it
They
out
can
and
move
go
anywhere
where
else.
go. Okay, okay. And but once the conversion is done, does the voucher stay with the unit?
It does.
So our current residents have the opportunity to receive a voucher that is in low rent, and they can do what they please with the voucher. But once the conversion is complete, then that's not an option anymore. The voucher, the unit is the voucher.
Right.
Okay.
Oh, that's correct, you got it. Once we get the vouchers, we're going to also to work with Ms. Prevost to increase your payment standard only for the public housing properties from 110% to 120%. The reason we're going to ask that because of the current market and climate, it is just expensive to run properties when you're having to deal with insurance and the interest rates on the loans that we'll need to get.
Didn't we do something like that within the last 6 months? 10%. Okay.
Right now you're at 110% of the FMR. Housing authorities usually after a disaster, you could automatically push it up to 120 in order for you to be able to lease units, because it's hard to lease units after a disaster, because everybody else is out there looking as well. And our clients usually have a hard time finding somewhere to go after disasters. But we'll work with you. It's not going to cost you any money or anything. It's just going to just utilize some of the money that you potentially aren't using today. Because of one thing I learned some years ago, HUD has authorized housing authority to either use their HAP money or they potentially could lose it the subsequent years. We definitely don't want to do none of that. After we get the vouchers, we're going to, well, actually we've already started, but that's where we will really start to then is gearing up on the financial closing. That's where we're going to use some of your older capital fund money that we had already identified for this project, insurance proceeds that you got as a result of IDA, some FEMA money you got as a result of IDA. You got about $500,000 that you were not going to get in deductible. Actually, we petitioned FEMA, and they gave us those resources. And also, we're going to do some tax credits and a small loan on the property. We are looking at over $100,000 on each unit renovating it. After we're going to go in, we're going to take everything out of it down to the studs. All the walls, the flooring, the ceilings, all of that's coming back, all new. All your systems, electrical, plumbing, all of that's going to be all new. Appliances, all that, all your cabinets, everything else in there is going to be new. At Des Almond, we're going to demolish that property and to build new units out there. We're going to spend almost $200,000 per unit out there because it's all new construction. Hopefully we can add some units on that site if it's feasible. It won't be a whole lot because you're only talking about is 2 acres of land out there, so there's not a whole lot you can do. We have to go up a little bit. We're hoping to add some units. If not, it'll just be the 12 that we had out there.
Question, I'm sorry. Will each site have a community space? Is that or do you know?
This one has the office. I think you use the office for community space. And then
I think Huntville has one too,
Huntville has one. It's a,
we're going to keep it a community space.
right, we're going to leave it as it is. We're going to keep it as it, because that was actually a 5-bedroom unit, I think, at one time. And I think we converted it years ago to a community space.
But the Zalmas is too small to have one.
Right, it's just too small to have one. Yeah, we wouldn't put one out there. And it'll take up all your land actually to put one out there.
And any land or any space could we contribute to, like any area for children? We could fix up the
I think
areas
we
for
have it
children?
in there, some type of playground we have in there. Well, I have to go back and look, but we had that in there initially, I know. There was some playground areas in there, so we had that in there.
Okay.
And if not, we'll take a look at it to make sure we can, because we have, I think, 2 at Boutique, is it? Right, okay, the basketball, yeah. So we have 2 of them, so we can leave those. We can do something on those 2. But after we get the financing all done, then that's when we start construction. We are start at Des Almond and Huntville and complete those, and then that's when we will go to Boutique to do it, and we'll have to, to move some people around. However, we'll handle all of that. They won't be out of any expenses. The housing authority would have to pay for all the moving, even if we have to move them to make it easier. That's what we'll do. And then almost lastly, here we're just excited to start to moving again because we were stalemated about almost a year and a half just trying to get HUD to review this application that we had submitted to them. We have started, like I said, we started the process up again. The appraisal have to be redone, because every 6 months they want you to redo it. The capital needs assessment, the last one that we did, I'm talking about the Housing Authority now, was in 2019. So that one, they only would allow you to hold that on the shelf for 5-ish years, so it's time to get that all done again. And also the surveys on all the sites that we would not infringe upon anybody else's property as we do the renovations and the new construction out at Des Armor. And then lastly, I did produce for you a timeline here that we had to produce for HUD, to indicating how long it's going to take us to complete this process. Understand that after we do the renovations and we move all the families in, that's not the end. Then that's when the Housing Authority has to to close out the public housing program. And if you notice on that timeline, the date we have for that is actually in 27, I believe, because you have to go through audits. We have to then to close out all your capital fund programs. You have to then to close out all your books. And if you have any assets that you did not dispose of, you have to dispose of them and then to return those proceeds to HUD. How I try to operate, I try not to return anything to HUD, so we'll try to use them and to minimize us returning anything to HUD. So that's all I got, and that's where we are now. And I give you all, I give Ms. Prevost a huge checklist. If you look at that, it'll tell you exactly where we are at all times.
Yeah, I got you. I have questions.
Mr. Woods?
The timelines, I'm looking at it, and I know we've had timelines before and in the past. So,
Oh, it's fluid, believe me, it's fluid, just realize that.
And moving forward, to make all the other things to get to 27, the March 31st, 24 timeline, is HUD on a schedule or something to get their approval back to us by the end of March 31st? Or
March. After we deal with this situation with actually the New Orleans office where we do the vacant status over to the modernization, they should start up again. They actually put our application on hold. After we get that resolved, HUD has, I think it was 60 days after we submitted that to approve it. However, like I say, they put it on hold until we get this resolved on the subsidy for the units that we had vacant. I'm thinking that it's going to still make that, because he had the application up there, he's reviewed it, he's approved it. I'm talking about at a lower level now. And usually once he approves it, he sends it to headquarters. And headquarters just signs off on it.
So has it made it to headquarters at this point?
It has not. It was in the process, and after we did the unit status and pick from Aiken, hoping to do it from Aiken over to modernization, he'll start it up again. I talked to him just on last week about, he said, as soon as that is done, I'll move it, Rich, because he's just sitting on it right now.
I know and if I can, another follow, I know in the past we were doing some, I don't know, was it bi-weekly, monthly, or something, conference calls where all the players in the game, from you to HUD, when the other executive director was here, and to include you, Webb, and I sometimes, and I think Delary was there. So is that still happening, that everybody's, and can that happen where everybody's on the same page, communicating and talking and seeing where we are? In the past, I thought that was pretty helpful, because it brought everybody who's making these decisions and having to answer questions was meeting, or at least on conference calls on a regular basis, that kept everybody updated. So to work through a up to a 27 timeline. I'm hoping, Mr. Chair, we could possibly set that up again where, and I don't know what the time frame is, every month, 2 months or something, but all the players get to, we were doing it. Yeah, well, but again, I'm saying, Webb, you were aware of that.
Yeah, I think that we can certainly set up, some conference calls at key milestone dates. I mean, right now, we're on hold. We're just
Yeah, I
waiting.
got you on that.
Well, I could let you get in on those calls like that. I could get you in on that. That's no big
Yeah.
deal.
I mean,
I
that's
think-
what we did before. We
I
just were
think what was
included in
happening
on
in
it.
the past is that HUD was holding us up. HUD was delaying this process, so that's when Ms. Hollis got HUD headquarters involved in it because HUD New Orleans was just holding things up.
Gotcha.
It was one delay after the other, and that was not necessary.
And one of my main reasoning for wanting to set that up again where we're informed, because we still have the public asking us questions about this. And so now looking at these timelines, we have to go out and say, now we're looking at 26 now as far as completion time. So I was just wanting to be, us as a board, to be as informed as possible. So when the public asks questions, we have some answers for them.
I will say this to you. All of these are timelines. They are actually fluid.
Mm-hmm.
I pushed them out as far as I could to give out ourselves some cushion here. I'm thinking it's going to end up 6-8 months before these dates are on here. And I just do that because I know things happen.
The unexpected.
Right, the unexpected, and you have to have it in there because it'll drive you crazy trying to change its dates every month or every 3 months.
I got you. But just know, and I know you all know that, and public know this too, that
Oh,
if you look, the first date on here was February of 2020.
Oh, yeah, I know.
And now we're talking about, closing out or construction starts in 25. So as much information as this board can get so we can relate that to the people we serve is very, very helpful.
I give you, that's why I have that checklist. I don't know if you always have it. That thing is 13 pages, is long, and it gives you everything that we have to do to close this out. I have dates in there, our start date and the ending date on everything. And it'll keep you up to date on where we are. I'm available if you ever want to, to call me, I'll answer. And I'll give you an update. You can ask Ms. Rivos. We try to make certain that I keep her up to date. I send this thing out to her every time I revise. That way she knows what's going on, and then she can relay that information to you all. But it's fluid. I mean, this something Hurricane Ida did what I was telling Mr. What is your name?
Bailey.
I was telling him we have another client of ours who we are almost 90% through with the conversion or our construction. And actually, we started a year after they did, and they had 2 hurricanes, a flood, and an ice storm. And you think what we had to do each time you had that disaster, it threw us back a year. We started a whole year before you all, and we finally we got to where we needed to be. But we're hoping to get this one back on schedule.
All right. Any additional questions from the board for Mr. Murray? All right.
Thank y'all for having it. If you need anything else, just call me.
Mr.
Just,
Frieda?
wait, one more. So when a public housing program closes out, so it then becomes the agency then it's still here, but the management of
About your only
the
agency.
management of the asset is done privately or from a separate organization.
It's probably what housing authorities, syndicators don't like to use housing authorities to manage their own property after they have used tax credits on it. I don't know, for some reason they just have not had a whole lot of confidence in us. But actually, if you looked at it, and I did an analysis when I was doing housing, our public housing ran much better than our new properties, financially and lease up. And it floored me because I thought it was just us. However, indicators don't like for public housing to manage those property after they've been invested in. What's going to happen, have two choices. We talked to Ms. Rivos about this, and we talked to the previous director in the beginning, is that we could do it one of two ways. She could retain all the staff, and they work under Standard Enterprises, or they could let Standard Enterprises hire new staff altogether. It's up to her how she wants to do it, or this board on how you want to do it. Every housing authority is different. I've dealt with some who they got rid of all the staff. That's what they wanted to do. I've dealt with some other ones. They let us manage the staff. You hire them, you keep all the benefits you have today, all the leave, all your retirement, all that, you keep all that. However, they work directly under us because that's how the investors are going to want you to do it.
So Standard is going to be overseeing management of the new development because they're going to do the tax credit compliant, make sure it's in tax credit compliance. And, okay.
That's what we do best. That's why I say that they don't like housing authorities to do it for some reason. I don't know why.
Right.
But we'll do all of that because Standard is going to have a huge investment in this because if anything goes wrong, we're going to be on the hook for it. So we want to make sure that it's all done right, all the compliance is done correct because see, if you don't have one unit in compliance, we're going to have to pay for that because the tax credit investor, they lose money, and they want us to pay for that, and that's rightfully so. So that's why we want to have our hands in this because we want to make sure that everything is right.
Right.
But you'll get reports each month from them. You get all the financials, the occupancy, and all this stuff that you get now. You still get that.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Murray.
Thank you all. Call me if you need.
All right, thank you.
All right, are there any other matters to come before the board this evening?
Yes. I forgot about the corrective action.
Okay. Are we including circular in this one?
Yes.
All right.
Good evening, Commissioners.
Good evening, ma'am.
Shelley Smith with Circular Consulting. So I'm pleased to provide the status reports for the month of February. For the most part, the majority of the items that have been pending have been completed. And we were really, really pleased to see that HUD has approved all of the agency plans. There were 3 agency plans that had to be submitted and some were retro back to plan year 2021. So we submitted those 3, 2021, 2022, and 2023 annual plans. And there were actually 2 5-year plans that were also submitted under the capital fund for the years 2022 through 2026 and 2023 through 2027. And HUD has, as of today, approved all of those plans, and what that's going to do is provide access to the capital funds that have been pending for years 2022 and 2023. So we will be able to provide the board with a full report of the status of all of the capital funding in next month's meeting, because like I said, as of today, we received the final approval on the capital fund plans. And actually, all of those annual plans had to be approved as well in order for the capital fund plans to be approved. That was the way that those plans were connected. So, but that is a major outcome. If you look at the status reports on the capital, or actually the corrective action plans, you're going to see that the majority of those items have been also completed. Areas of governance, areas of housing choice voucher, public housing, all of those corrective actions, for the most part, have been completed. There are some that are still pending. Two major components are updates to the policy documents, the admissions and continued occupancy policy for the public housing program. It has to be updated, as well as the administrative plan for the housing choice voucher program. Those two major policy updates have to be completed and submitted with the next agency plan for 2024. So that still has to be done. All of the changes that are coming down as a result of the new HOTMA regulations, that's the Housing Opportunities Through Modernization Act, HOTMA. Those changes actually got deferred by HUD, and they've told housing authorities that all of those changes have to be incorporated and updated into your policies for a January 2025 implementation. Initially, it was 2024. HUD came back and they said, we recognize all of the changes that housing authorities have to make in order to update these policies and train the staff and get everything implemented. So what we want you to do is make those changes and submit them with your next agency plan. And the next agency plan for this housing authority, because it's October 1st fiscal year, has to go in by July 18th. So that is really one of the major pending items. We also talked about the financial updates that have to be done through the fee accountant. That's another major task that is underway and that needs to be completed. So those are the major things. There are training plans that Ms. Prevost is working on. That's another pending item that emanated from the corrective action plan. And so those are the major items that are still pending, and we will continue to work on those and get those done as a priority for the agency.
Good evening, Commissioners. Victoria Hines with Circular Consulting. If I may, I just want to add that. Thank you. Victoria Hines with Circular Consulting. First of all, again, I want to say thank you for allowing us to partner with the agency to help the agency work through these challenges. And I just want to reiterate that it's because of Ms. Yolanda's leadership that we've been able to get all of this done. I cannot say enough that this was it continues to be a Herculean task, but because of Ms. Yolanda's leadership, we've been able to get a lot of things done. Even though we still have a few more items to complete, there's been a lot of successes. So I just want to reiterate that. I mean, I know the board is very well aware of the challenges, but I just thought it was good to reiterate that it's because of Ms. Yolanda's leadership that we've been able to get these things done in a very expedited manner, if I do say so myself. Circular participates in, I think, bi-weekly check-in calls with HUD. So HUD is aware of the progress that the agency is making. It's not like the agency is making these strides and ticking off the deliverables from the corrective action plan in silo. All of this is being communicated to HUD, so they are well aware of the progress that the agency is making under Ms. Yolanda's leadership.
Right. I'd also like to say that Ms. Yolanda has been juggling many a ball at the same time, and I've actually appreciated the fact that she's been multitasking and really, working to ensure that these priorities are addressed. And I think that I think overall we can see that HUD does appreciate. They do appreciate that work. They've indicated to us that they would be sending a contract document a recovery document to the agency, but I have not seen that forthcoming. But as we meet with them and communicate with them, they've been working really closely with Ms. Prevost and the staff in getting, these priorities addressed. So we appreciate the work and the support of the board as well. We know that you guys have been embracing a multitude of challenges, and we appreciate your dedication as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for all of your help and your work.
Do we have any comments or questions from the board for circular while they're here?
May I ask if the reports are helpful? We did try to streamline that large 40-page report into.
Your corrective action?
Yes,
report,
yes.
That is very helpful.
Yes.
Okay, okay.
I found it very helpful.
Okay, great. We did try to make it easier for the board of commissioners to review and digest, so thank
We
you.
committed to a monthly update, so we wanted to make sure we kept our promise and our commitment. So,
Thank you.
Thank you.
You again.
One more thing to
Prevost.
say. Commissioner Woods have been asking about a commissioner's training, another commissioner's training, and in, I think it's May or June, there's one downtown. I'm gonna get y'all the information at the next board meeting and find out who all wants to go so that we can pay.
Right. Yes, get us information.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank y'all.
Thank you
Y'all
all.
done a great
Thank
job.
you.
Yeah.
Appreciate
Thank you.
Got us in line
Thank you. We appreciate you.
y'all.
quickly, too.
I can
Thank
see
you.
the difference.
Thank you. And we appreciate your support.
Any other matters for the board this evening? And then, Ms. Prevost, did we have the meeting scheduled for this calendar year?
Yes.
It's in the packet here, or
No,
Not in this one, it was in the last one.
we
it was
did
in
change,
last month's?
Last one,
Okay.
in the back.
we did change the date for December.
All right. Are we ready for executive session? Okay. We have a motion from the board.
Mr. Chair, I move that we go into executive session to just discuss personnel matters.
All right, Mr.
Second.
Woods has made a motion to go into executive session, and we've got a second from Commissioner Bailey. All in favor?
Aye.
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 All right, the time is now 6:55. We'll move into executive session.
So y'all just
All right, do I have a motion from the board?
Mr. Chair, I move that we come out of executive session and return to a regular meeting.
All right, Mr. Woods has made a motion. He's moved to come out of executive session and return to our regular session. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Bailey. All in favor?
Aye.
All right. At this time, we'll resume our regular agenda. We will open for public comments. Seeing no one in the chamber, public comments is closed. Do we have any board discussion or motions?
Mr. Chair, I move that we adjourn.
All right, we have a motion to adjourn, and we have a second by Mr. Bailey. All in favor?
Aye.
The time is 7:34. This meeting is adjourned. Thank you.
thank you.
All right. Good.